Released in 1986, Labyrinth was a collaborative effort between George Lucas, Jim Henson, and David Bowie. It was Jim Henson's last movie. Using state-of-the-art effects, the movie quickly became a classic in what we call the twisted fantasy genre. The plot of the movie is simple. A teenage girl named Sarah goes through a strange magical labyrinth to recover her brother, who was kidnapped by a sorcerer named Jareth and his army of goblins. Some critics did not appreciate the random nature of the events in the movie. Robert Ebert stated that these kinds of movies aren't suspenseful as they should be because they don't have to follow any logic. Anything can happen, nothing needs to happen, nothing is as it seems, and the rules keep changing. By describing the movie this way, Ebert unknowingly describes the inner world of a mind control slave, which is exactly what the labyrinth represents. Through trauma, the psyche of the slave is reprogrammed by the handler, resulting in a situation where anything can happen, nothing needs to happen, nothing is as it seems, and the rules keep changing. Sarah's quest for her baby brother is in fact a quest to recover her innocent core persona, her real self that was taken by the handler. The various events that happen to Sarah are distorted reflections of real mind control trauma, hidden behind a veil of fantasy and imagination. The plot of the movie is very reminiscent of The Wizard of Oz and Alice in Wonderland, two stories that are incidentally known to be used in mind control programming. A young girl, bored and distraught with her normal life, finds herself in a fantasy land where everything can happen. In order to go back home, she embarks on a dangerous quest to reach the Great Castle, not unlike the Emerald City of the Wizard of Oz. Along the way, the assertive girl uses her wits, courage, and strength to go past the obstacles in a world where no rules are established. Labyrinth is heavily symbolic from beginning to end, starting from the very first scene. Sarah is at a park dressed as a princess, practicing lines to a play under the watchful eye of an owl that is standing on top of an obelisk. We quickly learn that the owl is Jareth, the Goblin King, played by David Bowie. The fact that Jareth takes the form of an owl in the real world and sits on top of an obelisk is very telling about what he actually represents: the occult elite. The owl is known to be the main symbol of the Bavarian Illuminati and is still used by elite groups such as the Bohemian Grove. It represents those who act under the cloak of darkness. The obelisk has been, for centuries, the ultimate symbol of the power of the occult elite. It is found standing at the world's most powerful places, and strange occult powers are attributed to them. These tall monuments originate from the ancient Egypt and are said to represent the lost phallus of Osiris, in other words, male energy. The obelisk is therefore a phallic symbol, and the fact that the young girl encounters many of them during her quest might be a reminder of the male handler dominating her mentally and sexually. At Sarah's house, we find several clues relating to her predisposition to mind control. She is surrounded by toys, books, and posters that foretell the dissociative adventure she is about to embark in. Many of Sarah's toys will be found animated during her adventure, which tells us that everything that will happen will be a result of her own imagination, fueled by the things that are familiar to her. Among Sarah's stuff, we find a toy version of the obelisk-studded labyrinth she is about to enter, and the books of Wizard of Oz and Alice in Wonderland. Both of these fairy tales are used to encourage victims to dissociate from reality. Labyrinth is no different. And just let me add that I love this movie, and I always have, so this is just me talking about the symbolism. Don't take it personally. Anyway, right above Sarah's bed is Escher's famous drawing named Relativity. This mind-boggling image contains confusing features that the mind can never compute. For this reason, they are in actual mind control programming. This particular painting will become very important later in the movie. So Sarah is angry at her parents, especially her stepmother, because she has to stay at home and babysit her little brother named Toby while they go out. Confronted with the child's incessant cries, Sarah wishes for the Goblin King to take him away. An owl then enters the room and turns itself into Jareth, the Goblin King. After finding out that the Goblin King is really here to take Toby, Sarah asks Jareth to hand back Toby. The Goblin King uses his skills for manipulation and persuasion. He shows Sarah a crystal ball and tells her that it contains all of her dreams. He, however, warns her that it is not a gift for an ordinary girl who takes care of a screaming baby. In other words, the gift is only for girls who have lost the baby, victims of mind control. Jareth, the handler, has the power to help Sarah escape the life she loathes, but she must allow him to own her core personality, to control her mind. When Sarah refuses Jareth's offer, which is equivalent to the Faustian theme of selling one soul to the devil, the crystal ball magically turns into a snake and is thrown at her. Jareth then menacingly says, "Don't defy me, Sarah." Seeing that she will not forget about Toby, Jareth tells Sarah that Toby is in her castle and that she has 13 hours to find him. They are both transported into the Labyrinth, which is the big image representing Sarah's inner world under the control of the handler. Inside the Labyrinth, Sarah quickly realizes that it does not obey the rules of reality. She finds herself walking never-ending straight paths leading to nowhere. Sarah then learns that it is only by mentally picturing an entry towards the castle that one will appear. She must make her own path within her own mind. While trying to advance through the labyrinth, Sarah realizes that everything keeps changing around her. She meets strange creatures who say confusing riddles that lead to never-ending loops of circular logic. Her catchphrase appears to be, "It's not fair," as she repeats it numerous times during the movie. Meanwhile, Jareth is in the castle with Toby monitoring Sarah. In Sarah's path towards the castle, Sarah goes through all kinds of obstacles, many which symbolically represent actual traumas lived by mind control victims. In Sarah's first ordeal, she falls into a pit filled with helping hands. This can refer to the victims being manipulated and abused by hidden handlers. Later, Sarah finds herself in a forest surrounded by the Fire Gang, who are strange singing creatures that can remove body parts at will. The concept of dismembered body parts is central to mind control programming. The Fire Gang's performance soon turns into a nightmare when they jump on Sarah and try to remove her head, again symbolizing the dissociation from reality. Upon escaping the Fire Gang, Sarah ends up in an even worse place, the Bog of Eternal Stench. I could get really detailed, but I'm just gonna say that this part is an imaginative way of describing some of Sarah's programming. After crossing the Bog of Eternal Stench, Sarah is given a gift, one that is poisoned, of course. When Sarah takes a bite from the peach, she feels woozy and starts hallucinating. Monarch slaves are constantly given drugs to amplify the effects of the programming and to incite fear and terror. Laying on the ground, Sarah sees a crystal ball with a symbolic image representing her. Sarah sees a doll in princess clothes, surrounded by bars, a classic way to portray dissociative mind control slaves. Sarah is then shown at a strange ball with guests wearing masks of goats and pigs and birds, commonly called an Illuminati ball, and she finds Jareth, her handler, waiting for her. Jareth and Sarah find each other and begin waltzing together, with Jareth giving suggestive looks to a 15-year-old girl. This scene symbolically portrays a forced union between the slave, who is said to be the princess of her world, and her handler. The lyrics of David Bowie's song that's playing in the background can be interpretive as a love song from a handler to a mind control slave. The ball then quickly turns into a nightmare, where all of the masked guests start running after her. Is she having a bad trip? Sarah starts running, shatters a mirror, and runs through it, another classic symbol of mind control. Despite all of those troubles, Sarah finally reaches the castle and enters it. She finds herself lost in a life-size Escher painting with Toby crawling around. Jareth magically appears from everywhere in this scene, the same way a handler would appear in the inner world of monarch slaves. The entire world around Sarah crumbles, leaving only her facing her handler. Sarah asks Jareth to give her baby brother back, her innocent core. Jareth gives her a classic doublespeak, mind-bending lecture, the kind MK slaves get from their handlers. He says, "I have reordered time. I have turned the world upside down. I have done it all for you. I am exhausted from living up to your expectations of me. Isn't that generous?" He then offers her the crystal ball again, and he says, "Look what I'm offering you. Your dreams. I ask for so little. Just let me rule you. and you can have everything that you want. Just fear me, love me, do as I say, and I will be your slave. This is the classic Faustian deal with the devil proposal, where Jareth says that he asks for so little, while he is actually asking for Sarah's everything, her mind, her body, and her soul. Sarah then starts reciting the lines she was practicing at the beginning of the movie and says, "You have no power over me." Everything crumbles again. Sarah leaves her internal world and finds herself back in the external world, the real world at her house. Toby is back in his crib and everything is apparently back to normal. In her room, she sees some of the creatures she's met in the labyrinth and she's apparently happy to see them. She tells them, "I don't know why, but every now and again in my life, for no reason at all, I need you." In other words, Sarah has accepted the internal world that was programmed into her by her handler. It now can be triggered by him at any time during her life. The movie closes with David Bowie's song Underground. This song has a very churchy feel and it has a loud gospel choir backing up David Bowie, and he talks about a place with no pain. That place is not heaven, but underground, which can be equated to hell, which in mind control terms is the trauma-filled life of an MK slave. So, in perfect continuation with the movie, Bowie leaves the viewers with one last inversion of good and evil, heaven and hell, pleasure and pain, with this song. While most viewers interpret the story of Labyrinth as a tale about the importance of imagination, or something of the sorts, the symbolism of the movie gives it a deeper meaning. While the story could be interpreted in numerous ways, references to mind control are definitely present. Once the imagery and the triggers relating to mind control are understood, the movie becomes a vivid description of the internal world of a monarch during programming, totally at the mercy of her handler and the twisted world he has created in her mind. The slave attempts to return to reality, where things make sense. The task is difficult as the handler controls time, hence the 13th hour that keeps popping up on the clock in the movie, and space, secret passages in the labyrinth. During the quest, the slave meets friends who appear to be helping her, but who are, in actuality, leading her to exactly where the handler wants her to be. In fact, Sarah's entire quest for liberation is actually her being manipulated towards the acceptance of her programming. By going through the labyrinth, Sarah went through all of the trauma necessary to program her. What appears to be the defeat of Jareth is actually a victory as he successfully programs Sarah's internal world. It can be used, in her words,
every now and again in her world.